Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. And thank you all for joining me tonight. Usually I'm on with Cyrita, but Cyrita isn't able to join me tonight. So I'll be talking about probate, life insurance versus probate. So this is a great subject to talk about. A lot of people when um, a person dies in their family and they have to take care of it, this is something you've never done before. So this is something that is like a sensitive subject. If you've never gone through this before, if you've never had a loved one pass and you had to take care of all of their things, this is something that's going to help you if that ever happens, but we hope it doesn't happen to you. But one thing life insurance does, it does take some of the sting out of handling a person's estate. And we're going to go through all the terms that go with this. So you can know how to handle this. You can have a little bit more knowledge on how this goes. So I just want to give you just a little bit about what probate is and how it relates to life insurance. So probate is just the legal process. It gives recognition to the will. And so the will is just the person's last wishes. It's actually a legal document, but it can come in different forms. So you can write a will down on just a piece of paper. And, a lot of people do this. A lot of people, especially a lot of people that are older, like in their 80s and 90s, they might not know what a legal will is, or they just might have never had the money to get one. Or they may have thought they didn't have enough to actually put something into a will. So they just write down on a piece of paper, well, my daughter's going to get my, china, because a lot of people had, fine china back then, and that was like a prized possession. Or, my son's going to get my car, or my grandkids are going to get, it could be anything like a quilt or something like, whatever material things you have, people usually say, um, you know, they're gonna give this to a person, and they just write it down on a piece of paper. But a will should be a document that you work out with a lawyer. So it's legally enforceable, and all of your assets. It shows how all of your assets are going to be distributed at your death. So whatever kind of will you can have a living will just in case you're still alive and you're sick. Say you're alive but you're in a coma. You can still have a living will to say how your assets are going to be distributed until you die. So that's just something to lead up until your death. So let's see. So with probate is just the process. It's a formal legal process that gives recognition to your will. So the probate recognizes the will. But in life insurance, we're going to talk about that too. In life insurance, that's not the case. So life insurance actually makes it easier for this process. So that's why it's good to have a life insurance policy. But probate, like I said, is just a legal process that gives recognition to your will, and it appoints an executor. So an executor is just the person that's responsible for your estate. That could be a lawyer, that could be a family member, that could be a friend. But in your will, you name the executor. So that's a part of your will that you have to have too. Even if you're just going to write your will down on a piece of paper and let an important person know, this executor, this is the person that you should let know about your will. Because they're going to be the person that's handling it all. So, if you don't get a legal will, if you're just going to write this will down, give it to this person and say in the will, this is my executor. This is the person that I want to handle my estate. And this is the person that I want to distribute all my assets to and pay off all my creditors and like let everybody know about my death and handle like final tax returns, anything like that. So the laws for probate different in each state. They're different in each state. So it's good to have an attorney when you're talking about probate. And it would be called a probate attorney. So where life insurance comes in is life insurance has nothing to do with the will or the probate. When you have a life insurance policy, this just has to do with your money. So it's not your like your will has to do. It has to do with your assets. It has to do with your money, and it has to do with other assets you may have, like material things. But when you have life insurance, who's ever on your life insurance policy, they're the one that's going to get the money, and it goes directly to them when you pass. So, for example, say you have a life insurance policy for $300,000. So upon your death, who's ever listed on the life insurance policy, they'll split the money however you put on your life insurance policy when you're alive. So they don't have to go through probate. A few days after you pass, they're going to get a check. So they don't have to go through probate. The only thing that you have to worry about in probate is, like I said, those material things. If you have a house or a car or anything like that, then you have to worry about probate. But if you had a will, then probate will be a shorter process. But there'll still be a process. So don't think that just because it's in somebody's will that you get the house or you get the car or the boat, don't think that's going to automatically go to you, because they can be contested also. So like just say there's an extra, child that your whoever died had, and no one ever knew about this child. They can contest the will because they can say, hey, I'm supposed to get part of this, money too. I'm supposed to get part of, the estate also. But if you have a life insurance policy, the money goes directly to whoever you have on that policy. But the only thing you have to worry about in probate is just all your other assets. So this is just like something small you need to learn, but it'll have a big impact on if you have someone that dies in your family. So hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon. But just think about, where do you want your assets to go? Where do you want your material things to go? Where do you want your actual money to go? So if you have life insurance policies now, you need to look at those policies. Make sure you review them. Make sure you know who you want your money to go to, and have a backup. Don't just have one beneficiary, have two beneficiaries. So say you only have one child, you're, a couple with one child, but you need to have another beneficiary just in case that child is not, 18 when you pass. So they have to have somebody that's either gonna, take care of that money for, like they're gonna have somebody either take care of that money for them, or they won't get the money until, they turn 18. So it's up to you. Do you want your child to wait for that money, or do you want them to get it as soon as you pass? So hopefully, we hope you don't pass before your child is 18, but you have to think about your child in that situation. But that's just one situation, where you just have to think about a backup. So make sure anytime you deal with anything money, don't just have one plan. At the very least, have two. And I do thank everybody for joining me today. This is a shorter live today, but I just needed to give you some things to think about, especially with our goals this year. We all have financial goals this year, and if you don't have any, please get some financial goals, because you want your money to grow. You just don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck, And if that's the case, which is the case for a lot of people today, and they also think they can't afford life insurance. So if you have to have a financial plan, especially for your children also, for anyone on this live that has children, you can have a children's policy that starts at around $12. It is a term policy. That one isn't a whole policy, but it's something for your children to have. And just think, for a little bit a month, that $12 a month, a couple Starbucks drinks, your child can be covered for about $75,000. So just think about that when you're making your financial goals this year. And that should be put into your plan also. Life insurance should be put into your plan. You insure your home, you insure your car, you pay, renter's insurance, you pay all these other different types of insurance that are actually mandatory, because it's mandatory for you have to have car insurance. It's mandatory for you have to have, homeowners insurance or renter's insurance. These are mandatory. So which one's more important, your life or your home or car? So you have to think about that too. So make sure you fit life insurance into your budget. You may have to cut out other things and you may not, but this is something that's extremely important. So just something for you to think about. Think about your budget. I'm going to do another live next week. We're actually going to talk about budgeting and how you can fit life insurance into your budget. We're going to do some live quotes. I'll have my partner back here next week, Miss Irita, and we'll be talking about how you can fit life insurance into your budget. And we can do some live quotes. So anybody that wants quotes, they can get a live quote, whether it be for an IUL, whether it be for a children's policy or just a burial policy. Because a lot of people, they wait too long to get life insurance, so they're not able to get a good policy that actually grows their money. So if you're in your 60s and you've never had a life insurance policy and you don't have a plan for retirement, you will be able to get a burial policy. And that's something that's important because if you haven't planned up until now, this is something that you can do, that's later in your life, and it doesn't cost much either. So just think about that. So for next Wednesday, and I hope to see you all again next Wednesday. And I do thank you for coming on the live. We're going to be doing some live quotes, and then you can just see how it does fit into your life. So thank you for coming on here. I appreciate you, and you all have a wonderful evening.